The drug caused too many side reactions to be generally acceptable. Both Rock and Pincus disagreed. The adverse side effects they believed were insignificant.
They probably dismissed it in their mind, well, there's something wrong with the patient, and there was nothing wrong with the pill.
1957, Searle took a tentative step, releasing the pill under the name Enovid as a treatment for menstrual disorders. Within 2 years, 500,000 women were getting prescriptions for the new drug. Suddenly, Searle saw the pill not as a public relations problem, but as a potential moneymaker. A Searle executive wrote Pincus, "The powers that be are breathing down our neck in the hopes of speeding up our application to the Food and Drug Administration." On May 11, 1960, 7 years after Gregory Pincus had received his first check from Catherine McCormick, the FDA finally gave its approval to the birth control pill. The pill would help launch a generation of activists, not only in the doctor's office, but in the streets, in the bedroom, in society.
The pill did more for women than any other single factor, certainly in the 20th century.
It's an estimated 80% of all American women born since 1945 have taken the pill. We cannot understand modern women's history without thinking about what the pill did for women and also what the pill did to women.
Suffered a loss that cannot be waived. I will do my best. That is all I can do. I ask for your help and God's.
Johnson, the 36th President of the United States, thrust suddenly into leadership of the free world by the tragic assassination of John F. Kennedy, returned to the nation's capital.
And this administration today, here and now, declares unconditional war on poverty in America.
A war against poverty was the war that Johnson really wanted to fight. In his first State of the Union address, he reached back to the populism of his father and grandfather. He took a Kennedy anti-poverty proposal and made it his own.
It will not be a short or easy struggle, but we shall not rest until that war is won.
have an historic opportunity to make welfare what it was meant to be, a second chance, not a way of life.
A politically explosive presidential decision today.
This was a historic day in Washington, effectively the end of the federal welfare system as we have known it for 60 years.
Welfare as we know it is now history.
There's going to be 1 million children thrust into poverty by this bill.
We shall have a social calamity.
The welfare system in the last 60 years has been a welfare narcotic.
This bill is not welfare reform, it's welfare fraud.
This bill will dramatically help young Americans have a chance to rise and to do better.
This bill is mean, it is base, it is downright low down.
We're either going to dramatically change welfare or we're going to end up losing America as we know it.
This is the best chance we will have for a long, long time to complete the work of ending welfare as we know it.
Another reason too, Bob, I mean, the Great Society of Lyndon Johnson was supposed to conduct a war on poverty that was going to end poverty in certainly their lifetime, and instead it's just been perpetuated. This recession has added poor people on top of the core number of poor people that we've already had. So something clearly is not working when we've spent trillions of dollars trying to correct poverty in America, and we have now as many poor people as we had in the Johnson administration.
Well, as somebody who was involved in welfare legislation before the Welfare Reform Act, our intentions were very good and noble, I think. We thought that we were helping people to try to get them out of poverty. We provided housing, we provided direct assistance to them. And I think it's time for the liberals, myself included, to recognize that we have bred a couple of generations here of people dependent on the government. As I said, we meant to do the right thing, and frankly, it didn't work out that way.
Well, I salute your integrity and being honest there. And by the way, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yes.
That's been the problem with a lot of legislation, on right and left, but mostly on the left, I would say, coming from my perspective, that it's feelings that dominate fact. We know what works so that people are less likely to fall into poverty. Get a good education, stay in school, don't take drugs, get married before you have children. The out-of-wedlock birth rate, especially among African-American women in this country, is like 70%. Your friend...
The biggest socioeconomic problem we have in this country today is unwed births. Yet our government has consistently encouraged that over a number of decades. And if anyone was to suggest that it was wrong to have a child outside of marriage, if a teacher did, she'd probably lose her job. If a school told a teacher she couldn't teach if she was in that condition, they would be sued. You can't say something is wrong that we spend $150 billion a year on just for the children, assisting the children of unwed births, and that doesn't begin to count the cost of our total failure in education is related to that exact same thing.
Far beyond anything the mafia ever did.
I've been called a liar, a loser, a deadbeat, a sperm donor.
They came and took my kids, I went to jail. The child support system can be so detrimental that it causes
Where are these
death.
people all getting these money from? I mean, are they just milking the dads dry now? Is that what it is?
Still can't believe what you're seeing, what you're hearing. Your mother thought you knew the whole story until your mama took it on Maury. Read your test results. Are you the father?
And we're on the yard at the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. And it looks like there's a protest.